Earlier in the 1970s, killers like Ted Bundy prowled college campuses and crowded streets, hunting for their next victim. They needed charm, manipulation, and opportunity. Today, the landscape has changed. Social media has given predators a new hunting ground. From behind a screen, they can identify the vulnerable, gain their trust, and lure them in, all without ever stepping outside. And recently, Japan executed a man whose crimes revealed just how dangerous this new reality can be. A serial killer, caught in 2017, who shocked the nation with the brutality of his murders. But who is this so-called Twitter killer? How did he carry out such horrific crimes from the walls of a small apartment? And how was he finally brought to justice? Welcome back to Prison Stories. In today's documentary, we uncover the disturbing case of Takehiro Shiraishi, Japanese serial killer the world would come to know as the Twitter Killer. October 2017, Tokyo. A 23-year-old woman named Aiko Tamura suddenly vanished. She was quiet, sensitive, and deeply troubled. In the weeks before her disappearance, she had turned to Twitter to share her darkest thoughts, posts about wanting to end her life, and fears of being alone. When Aiko stopped coming home and no longer answered her phone, her family grew alarmed. Her older brother, desperate for answers, searched through her social media. What he found unsettled him. Aiko had been in direct contact with a stranger on Twitter, someone who seemed to encourage her despair rather than ease it. With nowhere else to turn, her family reported her missing. Police began investigating, retracing her steps, and following the digital trail she left behind. Surveillance cameras soon confirmed their fears. On October 23rd, Aiko was seen walking side by side with a man outside train stations in Kanagawa Prefecture. That man would later be identified as Takehiro Shiraishi. But at that moment, Aiko Tamura had simply vanished into the night. But there were other warning signs. Neighbors around Shiraishi's small apartment had complained of a strange, foul smell drifting through the hallways. Some thought it might be garbage. Others worried something worse was inside. On October 31st, police acted. They entered Shiraishi's apartment in Zama, expecting to find one missing woman, or perhaps evidence of her disappearance. What they discovered was far beyond anything they could have imagined. Inside the tiny room, police uncovered coolers and containers filled with dismembered body parts. Some were hidden under layers of cat litter. Others were left exposed. In total, the remains of 9 people were found, 8 women and 1 man. When confronted, Shiraishi reportedly pointed to one of the boxes and said, almost casually, "She is in here." He was referring to Aiko Tamura. What began as a missing persons case had suddenly exploded into one of Japan's most horrifying serial murder investigations. But who was Takehiro Shiraishi, and who were those bones found in his apartment? 27-year-old Takehiro Shiraishi was outwardly an ordinary, almost forgettable man. Neighbors would later describe him as quiet, the kind of person you might pass without a second glance. But online, he was living a double life. Shiraishi had once worked as a recruiter in Tokyo's sex industry. His job was to find vulnerable young women, convince them to join escort clubs, and profit off their desperation. Those who knew him said he had a talent for spotting weakness and exploiting it. When that job ended, Shiraishi's life drifted. He moved back with his parents, then eventually into a small, cluttered apartment in Zama. By then he was unemployed, isolated, and living almost entirely through the internet. And that's where he discovered his method. On Twitter, he searched for users posting about suicide, young people who openly express hopelessness. He would message them, pretend to understand, sometimes offering comfort, sometimes telling them he would help them die. To a few, he even promised he would die alongside them. so they would not have to face death alone. It was a chilling form of manipulation. The horrific discovery inside Takahiro Shiraishi's apartment instantly made headlines across Japan. 9 lives cut short, body parts sealed away in boxes, and all of it happening in an ordinary building just outside Tokyo. The public was appalled. Neighbors were stunned that something so monstrous had been unfolding right under their noses. In the days that followed, Shiraishi's name became infamous as police formally filed charges. He faced multiple counts of murder, sexual assault, robbery, and the desecration of bodies. Investigators presented a clear pattern. He used Twitter to find vulnerable people, lured them to his home, then strangled them before stealing from them and attempting to hide the evidence. When confronted, Shiraishi didn't deny it. He confessed in detail, admitting he had killed 9 victims in just 3 months. In court, he spoke plainly, acknowledging he had strangled each of them, and that he had sexually assaulted some of the victims before or after their deaths. His defense team argued that because many of the victims had expressed suicidal thoughts online, they had, in some way, consented. But prosecutors dismantled that claim. The court ruled that consent could never justify murder, particularly when paired with exploitation and assault. Testimony revealed disturbing but crucial facts. Shiraishi had dismembered his victims, storing remains in coolers and containers to conceal the crimes. These details, though shocking, showed the methodical nature of his actions. On December 15, 2020, the Tokyo District Court delivered its verdict. Takahiro Shiraishi was sentenced to death. The ruling was finalized the following year. Shiraishi showed little emotion as the decision was read. The reaction across Japan was fierce. Many felt the sentence was just calling it the only fitting punishment for such merciless crimes. The verdict brought at least some sense of justice for families of the victims. On June 27, 2025, Takahiro Shiraishi's life came to an end at the Tokyo detention house. His method of execution was hanging, Japan's form of capital punishment. As is customary in Japan, it was carried out in complete secrecy. Shiraishi himself was notified only a few hours before. His family, the public, and even most government officials learned about it only after the fact, when the Justice Ministry made its announcement. Justice Minister Kisuke Suzuki, who authorized the execution, described Shiraishi's crimes as extremely selfish, saying the murders had caused unprecedented shock and unrest in society. The reaction across Japan was swift. Many citizens expressed relief, believing that justice had finally been delivered for 9 innocent lives. For them, the hanging of the Twitter killer marked closure to one of the most disturbing cases in modern Japanese history. Takahiro Shiraishi's crime shocked Japan, not only because of their brutality, but because of how he committed them. His case is a grim warning of how modern predators adapt. Where Ted Bundy once charmed victims face-to-face, today's killers can hide behind screens, gaining trust through words alone. The Twitter killer is gone now, executed for his crimes. But his case forced changes. Twitter introduced stricter rules on posts related to suicide and self-harm. Still, the larger questions remain. How do we protect the most vulnerable online? And how do we make sure the platforms meant to connect us don't become the very tools that destroy lives? Thank you for watching Prison Stories. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And join us next time as we uncover more crime stories.